This is Daryl as a service. You've got a few announcements in the Message Centre. We've got something about MFA and some consolidated experiences. There is some updated site usage information and a really cool thing with OneDrive about remapping some known folders. This is 365 Message Centre, episode 54. Yeah, this is ... I should know this by now. In fact, I've still got to change it in the video, don't I? It still says
Yeah,
delete the
and
was.
I think we need. Have you ever seen that show? And it's off now, but it was called Good Eats, and it was by one of those chefs. Oh my goodness, he hosts a bunch of Food Network shows, and golly, I can't remember his name. Anyway, and every time they would do the intro, he would say, he would talk a little bit, and then he would say, and then the intro goes, Good Eats. Like, he never said the name of the show. He
Oh,
always
okay.
just, led into it
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
pushed a button or, well, I mean, it's a show. So anyway, a whole lot
yeah.
more.
I forgot the name of my show button, so I can just push it, and we are just roll the
Yeah.
intro.
You, just, no, yeah, you could say, and this is, and then you push the button and it goes, 365 message center show.
That'll do it. All right. Well,
Anyway,
the reason that we're rabbiting on a bit, as I said, there's three messages in the message center. I mean, they're interesting. They're definitely worthy of looking. You should be looking regularly anyway. We also look a bit deeper into something that was announced a few weeks ago. We circle back and see what is that experience like, and this is the admin center message center role for people who will just read the messages. So.
yep,
Dan, let's click on over and talk about
let's do
some
it.
things. So first of all, there is a major update. It is the last one in our list, but boom, there it is. It's important to know that something is happening with MFA, so we'll have a look at that last.
Yes, we
But it's
will.
always good to see the major updates called out.
Yep.
Stay informed. Stay informed about updated site page usage. For pages in SharePoint Online.
Yeah. And this is really something that I like to see any increased effort that Microsoft can do with usage, because what we used to have in usage, SharePoint on-prem, was a pretty good usage. You could see what was happening, what people were doing. You didn't get the whole, there's other products that do a better job of tracking, okay, this person went here and they scrolled halfway and then they went here, but you got a little bit more usage information. And here in the latest versions of SharePoint, it hasn't been great. And it's keeping up with what people are really doing has been an issue for the admins and those that are trying to show what's going on. And so Microsoft has done quite a few things that have improved. Finding out adoption, the adoption content pack for Power BI showed usage for OneDrive and SharePoint and other products. And so this is just another step to help you understand not only how many visits your site has gotten, but what are those documents that are being looked at, and how popular are they, the unique users to those documents and such. So again, any additional information that I can get for usage or analytics is good, and I like this.
Yeah, now let's take a look at the additional information. And just thinking too, is this information available to just site owners? It looks like it is. It's not just
Yes.
information available to end users to say how a page is performing or how a
Right.
site is performing. You
That's
do
right.
get some of that basic information now, don't you? If you've got a page, you'll see how many views there are, comments that might have been, and but not this sort of detail. So
Right.
the additional information does give us a bit of a breakdown. Dan and I both looked into our own site usage for some sites, and this has still been rolled out to targeted release. So here's an example of one of my pages in a demo tenant. There's not a lot going on because it is a demo tenant,
Right.
but it's 2 unique users and 31 site visits for one of my popular Office 365 groups with a team site that I like to use as a demo. But what we will expect to see down here in a lively site is files that have been accessed and even some information about stuff that's been shared externally. So if we go back over to that additional information page, still not as easy to see, but you do see that there's information down here about what is happening on the page. Unique viewers, interested in how many different people are visiting this site or this page. You think that's useful, Dan? I mean, you've got a team. Let's say you've got a team of 50 people. We're all working together. It's good to know that 48 out of the 50 are visiting it as far as unique viewers is concerned. That would be a good measure.
I agree. I think, again, any more information we can get is useful. This is not perfect, and this is not going to give you, the same kind of in-depth that you're going to get with other products that you may be using, like third-party products. But this is getting there. This is just another step. So, but I would agree with you. There's a lot of information that I would like to see. I'd like to see clicks, what links are being accessed, and
Right.
what sections are being interacted with. I mean, there's a lot of in-depth stuff, but that's not what what's being shown here. That's not what you're going to find here. But I do like seeing, and this one here at the bottom says most unique viewers, which is an interesting title.
Both laughed at that one.
They're very unique. They're the most unique. But showing you in the rank is the number of people, the unique individuals. Gosh, you got me saying. But seeing what the most popular documents and things that people are looking at.
Yeah, it's not easy to see in this screenshot, and I wish we go back to being able to click on things and make the screenshot larger. Plug. But a document is also considered a page, and so you don't see it very well, but it is a SharePoint page, or for the top 4 or 5 are unique. Most unique views are for the pages, and then there's some PowerPoints and a Word doco further down. So yeah, good to have it information on pages and content. It's really content in the site itself, and then most viewed, shared externally.
Yep.
Files shared externally with people outside of the organization. Just from that screenshot, it just feels more like here's some of the more recent documents that have been shared or recently externally. Feels like an old screenshot. Check that out. It's got modified. Last modified was 2011.
Yeah, but it's definitely sorted by the oldest. You'll notice, and I think that's okay. That's actually a what I would look at. Right, is content that's been shared externally that's been there forever. That might be one thing that I would look at just to check. Yep.
Actually, yes, this is another use for the tool, isn't it? I mean, you can go over, see what has been or is still being accessed, and use that as a decision for where do we take it offline, make it read-only, or just take it out of there. I don't know if this is going to show us the full extent of the content across the site, or if it's just the top 50. It would be good if it was a full report, right? Because then you could do that. You could throw it in the reverse order and say, here's some things we can retire.
That's right.
Right, but yeah, so have a look when that does come out. Looking at the message, it's been rolled out to targeted release in mid-June. We anticipate it will only take a few weeks to get out. Hoorah.
Daryl.
Yeah. Yes.
We took a lot of time on that one.
I know, but it felt like...
It's good.
It was good.
No, it's a good one. Yep.
Oh, here's one that we could take a lot of time on. known folder move is now available in OneDrive for Business, and this was announced in a blog post in the Microsoft Tech community, and they sort of dived into some of the recent changes with OneDrive. I'd say this one would be quite useful if it was available now to one of my current projects. We had some of the IT admins thinking, we're moving people to OneDrive, but how do we get them to get people to continue to use these folders like pictures and documents and desktop? They're still going to be putting things there, but we want to redirect it through to their OneDrive so they can still get to it from across their other devices and from the web browser. And this is what's coming. It's I would say it isn't in this message, but it's going to be a Windows 10 most recent update to make this possible. It's not going to be available for Windows 7 or 8, I would say. But yeah, I probably should check that out and confirm it before stating that sort of stuff.
As an IT person, IT administrator type person, I like this a lot. Getting people to start using OneDrive, and whether they want to or not, or have a desire to, just getting them to use it so they can get the benefits of it and they'll have the whole organization use it. This also, I think, do something, it'll inflate the OneDrive usage numbers, and adoption numbers, I guess I should say.
It's advantageous for Microsoft to say, look, we're getting more people to use OneDrive.
Oh yeah. I mean, basically, if organizations implement this, they could say I have 100% or whatever, but probably close to 100% usage, when in essence it was kind of forced on them. And I'm not in the usage number game. I don't care. So I'm looking at it from an IT perspective. I like it a lot, so that people who are saving the content on their machine and they're not backing it up and they're not doing what they're supposed to, it gives them that well, it's not backup, but it gets their information in the cloud, which gives them versioning and all of that, and gives them a recycle bin in the cloud. And so I like it. I like it a lot. For people who are tracking usage information, this will be one of those where there's just no way to track OneDrive organic usage once this starts getting rolled out in organizations.
So true. Yeah, so if you're wanting to see that from an adoption perspective, you kind of lose that visibility. But I think you're right. You've said that the advantage is people are soaking in it. They're already using it. They don't know that they're using it. And let's say that their computer fails, or they get upgraded, or they get taken to another machine. I've been going through this step with some of the messaging in the project at the moment. Here's some steps you need to go through to prepare and make sure that if you're saving stuff outside of the usual places locally, then bring them over to this backup drive before you get upgraded. At least it covers that.
Most companies have software. Most larger companies have software that backs up all of these really, documents and pictures, and desktop does back up, whether it's to the cloud or, syncs to a server on their LAN. But I like this. This is not a backup, but it is again, gives them all the capabilities of OneDrive, and them really not having to do very much. I'm all for it. So,
so that will be coming later on, and of course, if you want to get earlier access to it, you need to be on a monthly cadence for your updates. Otherwise, you'll be waiting for that twice yearly to take advantage of that update.
That's right. That's right.
So the last one on our list, again, it's relevant to a project I'm in at the moment. Have you used multi-factor authentication with customers or internally?
Yep, both.
How did you find that enrollment process? Did most
Terrible.
people? Yeah.
It's just and because we've been doing it for a while, it was just terrible. The user experience, just to get it. trying to figure out, okay, how do I do this? How do I enable it as an organization? How do I as a user enable it and do all the switches and all, put in my phone number and all that? It just wasn't a great experience at all. So when I saw this, it gets me a little excited to think of the user experience, because we're bringing that collecting information from users to enable the multi-factor, but then also the self-service password reset, and bringing that together so that I don't have to go multiple places and dig to figure out where I need to do that. I think for multi-factor, it was some weird thing where, I don't know if it was recently, or I don't think it was recently, but you basically had to search for it. There was no, nice link that said enable multi-factor here, for your account. You had to go look for it, and it wasn't a great experience. So I like this. I like bringing these together, because if you're collecting the same information, it's kind of like, when you're filling out that form you're at the government office and you're having to fill out a form, and then you hand it back and they give you another form and it has 75% of that same information that you just turned in. And you're like, wait, can I just say on file? Nope, you got to fill it out again. Okay. And then you do it again and you get another form. It's the same information. You're like, Urgh. So anyway, I like this, to be able to do that, collect that information all at once.
Yeah. And the key piece for the consolidation was, if I'm registering my phone to be a trusted device that's going to be receiving a notification for MFA, and so I've got that. Cool. Now I also want to make this as the device that I can send a password reset process to. And having to do that twice just didn't make sense. You've trusted the device once, it covers both scenarios. MFA, I know, there's a lot of advantages to it, but there are lots of permutations as well, that if you choose one thing to make it easier for people, it does make the enrollment process a little funny. We should talk to a couple of our experts in the Guardian 365 team who are really interested in the security side of it. But I found with this project, was it conditional access? Not proper conditional access, but the basic stuff you can have with MFA. If you're inside the building on the network, we're not going to prompt you for MFA. Cool.
Right.
So you flick a button to say, I'm going to take you through the enrollment process. So when you sign into Office 365 for the first time, you're going to be taken through that process to, register your phone, etc., etc.
Right.
However, then when you get outside of the building, applications that don't support MFA, which need an app password, are going to then need an MFA password or an application password.
An application, an app password.
That was where we were struggling, was how do you explain that step? How do you convince people to go in and do that? It was going to be just a hand-holding experience to make that happen. And a side router that allows people to be part of the network but not part of the network for us to get around. I know, a bit yucky. Yeah. So that was our messages, 3. But we wanted to circle back. Is there one more? What have you got? Have you got 4?
Oh no, I'm sorry. We just didn't mention. Wait a minute. Yeah, I did have 4. Hold on.
You had 4.
Well, yeah. It was the Exchange web services for Office 365. You don't have that?
No, I don't. Do you want to flick over and do that? You're in a position to share your screen.
Yes, I can. So let me
capture that.
Let me. Where's my Teams window? And there's my share my desktop. And let's hopefully pick the right screen. Can you see my announcement here?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So this is changes to Exchange Web Services. And this is one of those, definitely need to keep track of this for you admins out there. And this coincides with the announcement. We talked about Office 2016 and previous versions not being able to connect to Office 365 services, SharePoint and Exchange, and this is one of them. And that's because they're getting rid of the basic authentication will be retired. And so they're going to switch over to OAuth 2.0. So this coincides with that. When they turn that off, Outlook 2016 and other versions are not going to be able to connect. So that's the announcement for this, as well as they're going to be emphasizing using Microsoft Graph in future mechanism for accessing Exchange Online data. So this is some interesting information. I think, again, this is one of those 2016 seems like it's a long time away, but trust me, when you get, I've seen so many large organizations, even medium-sized organizations, fire up a project and like, oh, we need to address this. This is going to happen, 9 months later. Well, there's a lot of stuff you got to do, especially when you're talking about changing Office on every desktop, right? Mm-hmm. Educating users, and maybe you got to go buy licenses. Well, now you've got to, you have to send it up the ladder and get approvals, and it just takes a while. So might as well go ahead and start planning now for that change. So this is, again, if you've been using basic authentication for your Exchange web services in your applications, then you need to switch those over to OAuth 2.0 for that authentication and access before that October 13th, 2020 date. So that was the only other one I had. Does your organization do any kind of apps using Exchange web services and creating apps for clients or anything with it?
No. So not really from our org. Around what we're doing with the change management piece, but being involved in some of these 365 projects where we're helping orgs on board and start using it. These are some of the services that often have them staying on the old platforms for quite some time because the developer for this particular platform is not as accessible, or no one wants to touch the code because they're scared they'll break it.
Right.
But this really important workflow relies on Exchange continuing to work. But if you don't update the to use an OAuth 2, then they're giving you plenty of time, as you say. And it's all wrapped up in making the service a lot more secure. Yeah, and I see this this discussion around other pieces of 365. Having the ability to control how secure apps are on mobiles with the mobile application management and bubbling around the information. These sorts of requirements are also being asked of Apple and of Google if they're going to have their native apps connect to the Office 365 service. They also need to start to meet these kind of requirements and also
That's right.
Be multi-factor authentication aware as well.
That's right.
Cool, thanks, Dan. Hey,
right.
So I'll take back the control and share the next piece. So yeah, just to finish off, that's not Dan, that's my desktop, but we'll get back down over here. All right, there's Dan back in all his glory. The thing that we were circling back on was really quite relevant to the show, all about the Message Center, of course. That a few weeks ago there was a message about making the Message Center reader role available for people. So you could assign that to someone within your organization and they would have permission to read from the Message Center. Now, you and I, we talked about this before the show. What kinds of people would you assign that role to in an organization? What would that be? Really unique people.
People. So, no, I was just calling out what I thought. It's people who, first of all, in IT, who need to keep track of what do they need to be doing as far as management. But then there's people also that would be creating training. Maybe those that are hosting the monthly lunch and learns or whatever, or sending out the newsletter, engaging with the users, telling them, hey, here's what's happening, here's what's going to happen, to your experience, and here's what's changing. So those could be different people. Maybe the people who are managing rollout of Office 365 services to their organization. So don't tell Microsoft this, because they think people just turn stuff on and everything gets turned on all at once. But that's not how it happens for most larger, mid-sized and larger organizations. They have to evaluate, is this service something we want to roll out? Something like Flow or Power Apps or whatever it is. We have to evaluate it, how are we going to roll this out? So don't turn it on yet. So those people, those individuals who may be managing that process within an organization, that might be their role, that you would assign them so that they can keep track of what's coming up and, announcements. And I think, just keeping track of what's going to be available to them.
Mm. Yeah, and some of the larger organizations that have a change advisory board, that isn't just for, hey, you're making an update to an Exchange server, we need to go through and investigate that. But it's also changes now within Office 365. As we go into cloud-based services, the same dynamics need to be considered and looked at when in terms of change across the organization. So this role is important. And it's good that it can now be shared outside of pure IT and a pure global admin. So what I wanted to do was I thought, okay, let's just see it's active now. It was supposedly it completed rollout by the end of June, so we're in July now. I livened up this role for one of my test users, Laura Galloway. And just wanted to see what kind of experience she had as she logged in. So here's Laura. Let's see, that's probably a little bit big. No, fine. We'll just switch over here to a shared screen as well so we can actually see it. Laura is just been given the Message Center reader role. That's it. And really, first of all, quite surprising to me, was she can sign in to her portal and she'll see this new admin tile, which is good. That's kind of what we expect. There's a little dot there, I guess, to say that it's new. But yeah, when you go through to that, your home page, your landing page, feels more like the regular admin page. There's all this sort of helpful training stuff here. The Message Center, which is the one that we're really interested in. But I was surprised to see what are all these tools doing here? Why do I see users and groups and resources and billing and stuff? What do you think about that, Dan?
I was very surprised by that, because just thinking through what I would envision happening is when they log in, they get the Message Center on their kind of on the right-hand side here on the canvas. The Train Yourself and the other software, Office software, well, that's all kind of personalized, so so I'm okay with that. But then on the left-hand side, I would envision them having the home button, and then I would envision them having the not button, I guess the link right there at the top. And then I would envision them having the health, which shows the Message Center. And that'd be it, because that's the role, right? Message Center.
Yeah.
So when I saw users and groups and then licenses, why do they need to see the number of licenses I've purchased and that's been assigned? And and is that something that I want them to know? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. It's just a lot more information here than I thought they should be able to see.
Yeah. No, I know that we spent a lot more time on this before the show, and we won't sort of, take everyone through that. But I think what we discovered was that this role of being able to read the messages from the admin center, from the Message Center rather, is leveraging an Exchange role as well. And it sort of feels a bit hobbled. I mean, should I see users along here? Or maybe I do need to see that. I don't know. But I can't actually do anything with it. I can't go into Elizabeth Swan, for example. Good pirate name there. I can see what licenses that she has, but I can't adjust them. So don't. Yeah.
But why can you see what a license she has? I'm not saying that that's some big, huge security risk, but
Yeah.
I just don't think you should see, it could be argued, well, they're going to be able to see, in the GAL, be able to see all the users anyway. Yes, true. But they're not going to be able to see what licenses they have. And I'm not sure, I don't know if this is just a bug or if this is intended. Just really not sure. You can't click save there on
That's
any
right.
changes you make, but still, that's this person. I don't think should be able to see that. I think really, what we should have is, if it's a message center reader role, that's what they should only be able to do. Message center.
Yeah. 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 And I think that eventually that sort of thing will be tidied up. Not being able to see. So this was my clue.
Yeah, that was the clue there, saying Exchange admins don't have permission to manage Office 365 groups. Well, so is this some sort of pseudo Exchange admin?
Yeah.
We need to dig into the PowerShell to find that out, I think. But
yeah, onto the positive side, I guess, about what you can do with it. You can sign into the message center. You can see the messages. These are just loading up here now. There we go. So, being that Laura has not had a history of reading and marking things and dismissing messages, she's going to see everything there and the most recent major updates. But yeah, she can go in and read those messages and access the information as we do each week. But just to sort of finish that off, I did push that a bit further. And I know that this isn't going to come out very well. Let me see if I can get this here. I did sign into the admin app as well, so that it would, can Laura sign into her mobile and manage the Office 365 message center messages from there, and just say, no, she can't. Microsoft Apps will take you through to the iOS, in my case, the iOS App Store, and My Settings will take you through to Laura's Office 365 settings, where she can manage her own photo
this is
deploy stuff.
You said this, Daryl. This is actually the perfect. Well, not the perfect, but I think that should work because that's a tool that could be used for people in this role, so that they don't have to be tied to their computer to see what's going on, and to see those updates. They can open it up in that app. So that's unfortunate that it doesn't work, and hopefully they'll get that fixed.
Yeah. Last thing I'd say about this. And we won't know till a bit later. The admins will get a weekly email to say, "Hey, this is what's come out. This is what's happening." They get a digest. They've even had a second email address field that they can send that to. Could be a distribution list or maybe a Microsoft Team channel email address.
An Office 365 group.
Yeah, potentially. Does this now get sent to Laura as a message center reader now? And I'll be able to tell you that after the show. We'll loop back and maybe just add that to the wonderful show notes that we now do, thanks to Dan and his efforts.
I would think so. I would think she would get an email. That's I would think, hopefully.
Cool. All right, well, that was the 365 Message Center for episode 54. We thank you for joining us, and do look out for the wrap-up that Dan does where he timestamps the different discussions. So, yep, have a great week. Check in with us on the usual socials. Let us know, some of your opinions and thoughts around this. Thank you for those who joined the live chat there, and we'll see you again next week. Bye for now.
Bye.